my day job, I'm a librarian at NTU. I think most of you are aware of that. And I do a lot of instructional classes for undergraduates, for postgraduates, for staff, for faculty even. And I teach them what database they should be using for their research, right? That's what I hope you're aware of that. I think KM students don't go through that. And at the end of the session, the most commonly asked question I get is, how do I keep track of all the news that's coming in? There's a lot of information coming in, right? So today, what I want to tell you is, following the news is a waste of your time. Yes, I'm serious about it.
Thanks. It's good that I don't follow news.
Okay. Just earlier this semester, one of my classmates, Sean, he came to me and he asked me about the Samsung tablet. The Samsung Nexus 10. It's a 10-inch tablet, right? And he said, is it good at what? I asked him, when you ask me such a question, he says, well, I'm thinking of subscribing to the Straits Times for 3 years. It's about $26 a month, and you throw in this free Samsung Nexus 10 for me to use. So it's 3 years long, and it's $26 a month. So the last time I saw that advertisement on the newspaper, all the Samsung Nexus 10 were all redeemed. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who subscribe to Straits Times because of this offer. So for 2 years, I think you get a pod, something, or a TV or something like that. So I guess Singapore Press Holdings is doing good business, getting good money, getting all these subscribers in. I'm sure you all know about Economist. Economist is about $30 a month, only if you sign up for 3 years. Okay, I know all these figures in the back of my head because I used to be crazy about following the news. I want to subscribe to the New York Times, I want to subscribe to the Straits Times, and whatever you have. And the point I'm trying to make here is that following the news is an expensive business, right? If you're looking at New York Times, it's about $30 US a month. Since I'm a librarian, so I like to tell people things like that. If you sign up for the educator's package, because you have an e.ntu.edu, your email address, you get half the price. So you get the New York Times for about $15 a month. So if you're interested in following the news, go and subscribe to it now before you graduate. At our library, we have a database called Press Display. Okay, Press Display, you all can access it anytime you want. It's really a wonderful database because it has all the newspaper that you can find in most countries, in almost all the countries and almost all the cities. And we subscribe to it as a library because we thought, we have a lot of international students. I think all of you are international students. Team is not here. And you're not exchange students. And we felt that reading the newspaper from back home, China, India, wherever it is, from the US, wherever they come from, it's really good to beat homesickness, right? So we subscribe to it, and we like the idea so much that we put it on this giant touch screens that you see in the library, something like this, right? If you go to the airport, which I'm sure all you all do go to the airport, if you go to any bookstore and you look under their newsstands, they've actually taken over the newsstands. What they do, this company called Press Display, is that they print on demand. So if you want, I don't know, South China Morning Post, just tell them you'll print it on the spot, and then you can buy it from there at a very cheap price, and then you can read it. So the beauty about Press Display is that it doesn't come out in all text. People like it because it looks exactly like the newspaper that you are reading it when you're home. So it's just digital, and then you can flip it through. Right, so it's kind of exciting, and we were excited. That's why we put it on the big touch screens in the library. What happened after we put up Press Display on the touch screen was that there were some cheeky students. Right, they went up to Press Display and they clicked on United Kingdom, and they decided to show this tabloid newspapers from UK. So if you're familiar with British tabloids, they print all kinds of nonsense on it. I don't know whether you heard of The Sun or The Daily Star. These are tabloids. Tabloids basically they print about celebrity, garbage like that. And one of the cheeky students, they decided that it's a great idea to turn to page 3. Okay, why page 3? Page 3 is actually a trademark. You can search for page 3, is trademarked. Okay, what's page 3? Page 3, you probably already know, page 3 is the page where the British tabloid newspaper, they show a topless female glamour model. Okay, like this. I didn't want to blow it on the big screen because I didn't want to offend you ladies, and then I realized I'm the only guy in this class. If there were more guys in this class, this is the only thing they'll remember from my presentation, right? So it's real, it's there, and we were so worried about it after you went out, because it's not very nice. We are in a conservative society, right? And the next point I want to make here is that reading the news doesn't necessarily make you smart, right? So how do I back this up? I'm sure you all have tried following the news, not just on newspaper, but also on television. You keep track of the news and things like that. And my girlfriend loves to watch television. She hates reading, but she loves to watch television. So one of her favorite show is Crime Watch. I don't know whether you've heard of Crime Watch. Crime Watch is like reenactments of crime scenes in Singapore. So they like to take out the interesting crime scenes like a kidnapping in case or murder case in Singapore, and then they like to reenact the scene. So they act the scenes out, they show the policeman catching the suspect. So my girlfriend loves watching this show, and they play on television in English, and then they do it in Chinese. So I have to watch with her in English and then in Chinese. Okay, she doesn't understand Malay, so it's okay. So I just want to point out to you that whatever you see on television can be very trivial, can be very sensational. It can focus too much on the deviant, meaning something that is not the correct way of doing things. And I just want to share a little story. Might not relate to most of you here, but you definitely know who Henry Ford is. Henry Ford, who started the Ford company. So I'm sure you have this impression of him that he must be quite an educated man, businessman. He started this Ford company that made cars in the early part of the 20th century. And I would say that he is quite he must be quite a smart man, right? But the thing about him is that most people then, he didn't have much formal education. So he didn't go to school for a long time. And what happened was that one of the Chicago newspapers said, they insulted him. They said he's an ignorant fool. They basically called him an idiot, right? And he was very angry. So he went back to them and he decided to sue the newspaper. And the newspaper said, look, you might be very educated or you might know a lot about cars, but we still stand by what we say about you, that you are an ignorant pacifist, because he was against the war. That's why they call him a pacifist. So they say, fine, let's take this to the court. And at the court, the Chicago newspaper said, I want to prove that Henry Ford is a stupid man. So let's put him on the witness stand and let's question him in front of the jury. So, of course, the lawyers threw questions at him that I couldn't answer, like who was so-and-so, and during the war of 1877, how many soldiers did the Britain send to America? Of course, he didn't know the answers to all this, right? And he got very fed up of all these questions. He said, look, I don't care about all these questions, right? He says that if I really wanted to know the answers to these questions, I have a desk at my workplace, okay? And there are 3 buttons on it. When I press the right button, one of the guys will come in and he will tell me what the answer to the question I'm looking for. So what he's trying to say here is that to be educated, you don't need to know the answers to everything. You just need to know how to find them or who to ask for help for, right? I probably forgot most of my parts. It comes to my last part, which is my favorite story. That's why I'm so excited to share about it. In 1996, probably you're not familiar with him. Do you all know who? Probably you don't know who. What's his name? Dr. Toh Chin Chye. Okay, he is the former Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore. He's like Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's right-hand man or something like that. So by then, in 1996, he was pretty old. I think he was 72 years old. And I'm sure you all know the new paper in Singapore, right? It's a tabloid, right? The new paper comes out in the afternoon and you print nonsense on it. And on the newspaper, it says that Toh Jin Chai involved in hit and run accident. So the story goes like that. It was in 1996, and then it was at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Okay, Dr. To Jin Chai was driving a red Toyota van pickup along East Coast Parkway on the way to Changi Airport, right? And he obviously was not looking at the road, and then he swerved out of the road, and he actually hit an 18-year-old IT student called Moses Xiao. Okay, he was working part-time as a waiter, and he was actually checking his motorcycle because his motorcycle had some mechanical problems. Okay, so the van hit Moses. Okay, the windscreen broke, and Mr. To Jin Chai didn't stop the van. He drove on. He drove on, and after that, the police, the ambulance came, and Moses Xiao had some injuries, head injuries, and by the time he made it to hospital, he was already dead. So it's very serious because To Jin Chai drove the van back home to Tampines. He stays in Tampines, and he parked his car at the HDB flat. He should have called the police, right? He should have called the ambulance and said that I knocked someone down. Or he should have called the ambulance, to get help. But he didn't do anything. He didn't stop the car. He didn't stop his van. He didn't call for the ambulance. And what happened was that when the police came to the scene of the crime, they found broken glass all over the floor. And on the floor was his car park sticker, the decal that you stick on the windscreen, and also his other stuff. So they looked at the car park decal and it says Tampines. So the police went to Tampines and they found the car, they found the van with the broken windscreen, and they waited for Mr. To Jin Chai to come back to his car, to his van the next day. So they arrested him, of course, when he came back to his car. What happened was that it turned out that it was Mr. To Jin Chai, the person, the same name, but younger. So it wasn't Dr. To Jin Chai. And Dr. To Jin Chai was so mad at the newspaper that he sued them. They had to immediately withdraw the newspaper and issue an apology, right? And I can't show you the newspaper at the point in time because they've taken it offline. So I can show you the apology, which is nothing much. And people got fired. And it makes you think, right? It makes you think. If you're working in a newsroom, would you think to yourself, what was Dr. To Jin Chai at 72 years old in his retirement? Why would he be driving a red Toyota van at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and he would bang somebody? And the best part is that he would go home to a Tampines HDB flat. That's a bit strange, right? So he obviously missed all these steps. And you can see it in the newspaper today. Every day when you flip the newspaper, there is a corrections page. It says that something is wrong, they've got something wrong. So my point here is that the newspaper, most of the time, don't get it right, factually. They try to get the story out, but they don't get the story right all the time. And one point that I missed out earlier that I remember now is that if you look at this today's Straits Times, I stole it, I didn't steal it, but it's actually free in the library if you didn't know. You can copy each thing with compliments from Singapore Press Holdings. I just want you to look, we can look at the front page together, and I think you probably can see here, it says, Yoho Yono's order, end fire, haze in 3 weeks. MH370, last words from co-pilot. US, EU impose sanctions after Crimea vote. Let's be honest with ourselves. Is this relevant to you at all? You can say, oh, it's relevant to me. I have a friend who's on the MH370 flight. But I have to remind you, even though it has certain relevance for you, for example, in this case, is more money, less hassle for agents or transfer mates. Maybe I need the mate or something. Maybe it might be relevant to me. But most of the time, you realize that the news, you can't take part in the news. You're not part of the news. You're not going to put your name here and say, Shruti, be careful. The mate is going to be more expensive for you. That's what I mean when I say there's no relevance for you. Feel free to take the newspaper, there's business time. And make here is that instead of reading your Twitter feed, your news update from Facebook that is up to the minute, why not watch the daily news at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 a.m. in the morning or 9 p.m. at night? Okay? Instead of watching the daily news or reading the daily newspaper, why not read a weekly review, right? I don't know whether you heard of weekly review, it's like newspaper. Instead of reading a weekly review, why not read a monthly magazine, right? There are monthly magazines out there, right? Instead of reading a monthly magazine, why not just read an annual book? Look, the point I'm trying to make here is that if you took all your time that you spent reading the newspaper, and then you would have read a book instead about a particular topic that you're interested in, you would be educated, you would be more learned, right? All these bits of information that you pick up every day, I imagine it's like you're walking into a library, but the libraries are not shelves in the books. The pages are all cut out in paragraphs and in sentences, and they're all scattered all over the floor, and they expect you to walk through the library, pick up the words and the sentences, they're all messed up. And you're not interested in most of the topics in the newspaper. So I would like to end my little presentation here by saying, instead of being caught up in all this news about, it makes us less reflective as thinkers, because we are always thinking about what's happening next. And it makes us less trusting people, right? Because we are always reading about crime, we are always reading about something wrong that somebody did. Why not just give up on the news, stop reading about the news? My promise to you is that your life will be greatly enhanced by it. I haven't found a lot of people